Morning, folks. It's me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Patriots 2 channel. And I've got some news for you about Joe Biden and all the crap that happened yesterday after his speech, during his speech, and what it's going to cause in the long run. Every time Joe Biden calls Trump or one of Trump's supporters some horrible name, calls us racist, tries to put us in a deplorable basket, calls us neo-fascist or whatever the term of the day is, every time he gets up there and screams at the mic about half the country is evil, more people are realizing the problem is that man standing at the mic, not Orange Man. Now, let me go ahead and get into this, but before I do, let me just let you know, this is only going to benefit us at the booth, at the polling stations, when more people realize that Joe is not just crazy, he is pushing crazy to the Democrats and hoping that half the country will turn on half the country behind him wanting to get reelected. It's nuts, but this is what's really going on. The most divisive man I've ever seen in politics. He doesn't just lie. He spouts lies like the devil himself. The devil is a liar. That includes Joe Biden. Let me go ahead and get into some of this. We'll go start off with Tucker Carlson. He had some things to say, and then we got several other opinions, including a little bit of Biden's point the finger and blame the other guys for the way that they're actually acting. The real totalitarians. The creepy Democrats. Let's go ahead and get into these videos. I may start at the bottom and just work my way up. Let's see here. Now let's start off with Tucker. And I'm not a big fan of Fox anymore for the way they handle their politics, where they don't handle a lot of stories. But at the same time, I think Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and a few others over there are pretty good commentators. So we'll go ahead and get into this. Tucker Carlson had a pretty good take on this. Let's go ahead and start on it.
We made fun of it at the top of the show because we didn't really know how else to respond, but Joe Biden really has crossed over into a very dangerous place. Tonight, he declared in a speech in Philadelphia that anyone who disagrees with him is a threat to the country. Here's part of what Biden said.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. The Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Yeah, they're a threat, says the guy with the blood-red Nazi background and Marines standing behind him. It's a complete outrage that this is being sanctioned as a White House event. In other words, that this is the approved position of our government. It's totally immoral. And then the guy who encouraged riots in 2020 accused MAGA Republicans of somehow threatening the rule of law in the United States. Watch this.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country.
This is truly nuts and threatening to the future of the United States. It's hard to believe he just did that, but he did.
That's a good one there. Tucker Carlson just basically laid out a lot of the conversations that Biden was having with himself. You know, nobody was actually listening to that speech. Well, let's go ahead and get in a little more. Biden went totally off the rails with his screaming at the Republicans. It's all your fault. Now, let's go ahead and start from the bottom and work our way up. Let's see here. We go all the way to the bottom. Like I said, there's lots of Joe Biden on there today. It's top to bottom, nothing but Joe Biden. Now, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about Lori Lightfoot. She is crying and whining some salty tears today. She is mad as hell at Governor Abbott from Texas because he is sending more busloads of illegals to Chicago. He's now got them sending them to Washington, D.C., New York City, and now Chicago's. That's great news. Cry me a river, Lori Lightfoot. If we have no choice but to take these illegals into our country, let's not send them to red states. Let's send them to blue sanctuary cities, because they're the ones that get all that money for being sanctuaries, because they want to protect the rights of everybody, including illegals. So let's go ahead and send everybody that steps across that border to Chicago. We can send them to Minneapolis, some of those great strongholds of the Democrat craziness. Let's send them there. They consider themselves sanctuary cities. Let's go ahead and send them where they go, where they need to go. They're getting all that money from the federal government to be sanctuary cities. Now let's make them actually take care of the job of handling the influx of thousands of these illegals. They were busting up there. Good job, Abbott. I don't know what I would do in your position, but pissing Lori Lightfoot off, good job, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Project Veritas has got a second video out. I'll leave you a link in the description below. They're going down the line this week, and they're busting these radicals in the school system, including even an private school sector in New York. So if you think you got your kids in private school, that they are safe from the indoctrination crap, pay attention. That's not always true. We've got a lot of lefty wokies that think that even though you pay a lot of money to put your kids through school, they still have the right to push the conservative narrative out of the picture and push their indoctrinating mentality on the children. Sickening stuff. Project Veritas is exposing more of it today as well as yesterday. Said it was going to be a three-parter. There'll probably be another one tomorrow. I like it when we get some exposure to some of these sick ways of thinking. Do not put your kids in school anywhere, including private school, if the agenda does not benefit our country or your family. That's just my opinion, but I think everybody needs to consider that, especially those that have kids still in school age. We've got to save our children, folks. Now, Trump was on this new Megyn Kelly lookalike show. You know, Megyn Kelly is gone now from CNN over there, or I think it's MSNBC if I remember right. Well, they got a lookalike radio host that's taking her place. Well, she had an interview or had a conversation with Trump, and Trump said he's going to do his best to get after he runs and gets reelected, he's going to give full pardons to all those J6ers, and he said he's doing what he can to support some of them at the moment as we speak. Now, I've never heard Trump speak on this at all, just probably for political reasons, because they're trying to throw crimes at these people, and so he probably stays out of it because they're trying to throw crimes at him as well. But in the end, I think all these people will be pardoned, and maybe even given reparations for their illegal tactics of keeping these people locked up without due process. Let's go ahead and get into some other stuff. I can't talk about that one too much, but it does look like in Pennsylvania they are scratching their head about the ERIC system over there, and they are trying to get to the bottom of what's really going on. We got these Senate races. There's such an issue that Biden showed up to hate on America at a Senate race for his senator in the state of Pennsylvania. And truth be known, the Democratic senator incumbent, in theory, did not even show up to his hate on America rally. This is an excerpt from Joe Biden's speech was released. Now, it's a complete assault on MAGA patriotism. Let's read a little bit of this. I think there's no video on this one, but we're going to see what we got here. Joe Biden is going to deliver a speech about the soul of the nation. Wow. The soul of the nation. I think the soul of the nation is in bad shape right now because we're being treated like stepchildren by one soulless individual, otherwise known as Joey Bribes. In the speech, he was expected to target and declare war against the political enemies in his speech, which is exactly what he did. And very last video I'll bring y'all on this deal, or on this episode, will be of how some of our fans feel. That's probably the best one at the end. We'll do that at the end. Now let me go ahead and get into a little more. There's just so much on here today about Pedo Joe. It's sickening. So Stephen Miller, let's go ahead and see what let's go ahead and do this one first. This kind of pissed me off, but I figured being on CNN, you know they're lying. Now CNN is got their Andrew McCabe, who was part of the Russia hoax. Well, he's got his opinion about Biden's speech. He said Biden didn't go far enough. Let's go ahead and get into it.
He made a direct plea to have violence out of politics. There is no place for violence in politics, he says. He referenced the fact that you can't be an insurrectionist and be for democracy. For the people who are in law enforcement and to an extent are caught in the middle of this, is this something they want to hear?
No question. No question. People in law enforcement and people within, I think, government more broadly want to hear national political figures, to include, of course, the president, to come out and absolutely call out political violence, everything from local school board officials to local election officials to my own former colleagues at the FBI. No place in our country right now. They sense very personally and daily the rising tide of threats that they face. And I think those things will be taken positively. On the other hand, I think people would like to have seen a bit more references to accountability. There really wasn't much talk about what we're doing about those insurrectionists. Wow. It was merely calling out the fact that nobody should support an insurrection. So I think.
Got a question for you folks. What about the accountability for this son of a bitch right here who's lying right now, as well as he lied for the last 5 years to try to get Trump? I don't want to hear about accountability from this guy. I'm done with this video. Let's go on and get to another one. He pisses me off. I've heard it twice, and both times, that's a hard one to swallow. Kind of reminds me of this other video on here. And this is how we feel every time we hear them lies from the left. We feel something like this girl right here, this news reporter, who was just trying to do her job. And sure enough, she had to swallow something she wasn't really looking forward to.
Son has never seen an unbroken...
Watch closely. Now, this is how we feel after a Biden speech. Now, watch what happens.
Son has never seen an unbroken cycle of monsoons quite like this. 8 weeks of non-stop torrential rain. A national emergency has been invoked.
Did y'all catch that? She just swallowed a fly. Pretty disgusting. That's how we feel every time Biden speaks. We feel like, oh, I had to choke down another one. That is just disgusting. Now, let's get off this video. I just wanted to show you this woman eat a fly and keep her composure. That is just wild. Not the first time that's happened to a commentator. Matter of fact, I think Joe Biden's ate a few bugs himself in his life. Let's see here. Let me get into this. There's a couple more. Yeah, we feel like this woman that just ate a bug after we heard Biden's speech. I was just disgusted by the whole situation. But they're calling Biden pedo Hitler. That is the hashtag trend on Twitter. And let me show you what Twitter is doing to try to cover up this mess. See old Biden back there with his own Nazi symbols. Okay. I'm waiting on the video to scroll, pop up. Say, waiting on this thing to load, folks. Oh, they're not going to show it. I don't know what the deal is with the scroll feeds here. I don't know what's going on with the feed over here, but let me just tell you, I watched it earlier, and there was like 68,000 retweets of pedo Hitler, and more than that of the word dictator, hashtag dictator, on Twitter. And Twitter literally knocked down the number of retweets from 60,000, 80,000 down to like 6,000. So they're putting their thumb on the scale of what people think about Biden today. And speaking of people putting their finger on the scale to help pedo Hitler, CBS of all stations, which is one of the worst, they put out a tweet this morning that says, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise, says President Biden at the beginning of his remarks. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent all this horrible stuff. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see if it'll play it for me. Now, I don't know what is going on with the speed on this particular. I don't know. I apologize, folks. Gateway Pundit is acting stupid this morning. on this particular article, but the point of the matter is Twitter, CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, they are all doing their very best to make it to agree with Biden today that half of the country is screwed up because we are supporters of the Orange Man. Yep, fake news media is just lying their ass off for the great pretender, Pedo Joe. Says, we'll get past that. I don't even want to go there. Let's see here. Now, Kari Lake had some things to say as well. Now, let's see what Kari Lake had to say this morning. I hadn't actually watched this one yet, so let's do this one together. Hopefully she won't say too much about the thing. Alright, I apologize for the scrolling, folks. This thing doesn't always cooperate properly. It says patriots lined up behind Kari's podium with the Kari Lake flag and the signs to demonstrate their support and watch her destroy the fake news media again. Lake opened up her press conference by slamming Joe Biden's awful tactics and her Biden backing opponent, radical leftist Katie Hobgoblin. Lake, I don't know if you all just came from a newsroom and if you happen to see what I just happened to see, but I watched most absurd, frankly obscene address I've ever seen of a president given to the American people. What I saw was somebody who is trying to divide the country. I am sure what's wrong. I'm not sure what's wrong with Joe Biden. I know that he may have problems that we don't know about. And also, Trump went on to say in a speech this morning that Joe Biden is either insane or got dementia. And I happen to believe it's both myself. That's my own personal opinion. But I have a little bit of that. Opinions are free over here, folks. I got plenty of them. I'm disgusted with this whole situation other than one simple fact. It is bringing more people to the MAGA party. I guarantee you there's some Republicans that had no intentions of voting midterms, but after they just got called names yesterday by Biden on mainstream media, I'm sure they're now thinking, my God, we've got to do something to fix this mess. Now, let's see here. I think I had one more I wanted to. Now, Biden had to be guided off stage again. We all know about that. Now, let's go ahead and get into the speech. You can watch the whole speech. A lot of it's over on Newsmax. Some of it's over here on the Gateway Pundit. But for the most part, you will be able to watch it on any mainstream media today. A lot of the excerpts of Other Lie. Let's go ahead and get in. I think he had one more little speech I wanted to hear from Biden before we get into the other side's opinion. He's declared war, basically, on the Republican Party with his propaganda, and it's not good for the country. You wouldn't think, but it's probably good for the voting.
In my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
Liar.
They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies.
Yep.
Empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards.
Take this country back
to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country.
Now, that is one of the most soulless individuals I have ever seen. Now let's go ahead and get one last little video clip, and this is the best one of the day. This is the one of how we all feel after we feel like we've had to eat a bug to have to listen to that crap that come out of Joe Biden's mouth last night. Probably angered not just some of us MAGA Republicans, but probably a good part of the whole country that realize that this man is off his rocker, calling half of the country something they're not. Now let's go ahead and get into Benny Johnson. Got a video where this guy savagely told Joe Biden just how we all feel.
After the 2020 election, as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections, they tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're...
Did y'all hear that? Now let's listen to it again. It's kind of low, but listen in the background. You can hear the old FJB, our favorite chant. While we're all racist and fascist, we can all say this about Biden. He is a failure, no matter what name you label us with. Let's go ahead and listen again. Now this time, listen for the chant in the background.
After the 2020 election, as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections, they tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're...
All right, folks, that's all I got for you. I just figured I'd bring y'all some of the best stuff on the Gateway Pundit this morning about old Sippy Cup himself and his angry, lying ways. It just, I don't know how else to deal with other than just say he's crazy. That's just a fact. He's lost his mind, and he's taking it out on the American people because somehow he doesn't feel loved anymore behind all his divisiveness. All right, folks, that's all I got for you. Like I said, like, subscribe, and share, Devoted Patriots. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. I just figured I'd catch y'all up on all the craziness. Like, subscribe, and share. Over and out.